How are we doing, Bullers? Welcome back to another Shroomy TV video on the crypto market. Right now, Bitcoin has been rallying in the last few days and weeks, and we're right now right up into massive support, touching this trend line from when we peaked in October 2025, January of 2026, and April of this year. And as you can see, for me, still in this bear flag pattern in the downtrend, heading towards the 4-year cycle lows later this year. But as I've been mentioning for ages, we've had this CME gap at 81k, which we've been getting near. And as you can see on this chart, it remains open. And as you can see, this 81k CME, and as you can see, this 81k CME gap, which has been open for such a prolonged period of time now. As you can see, since the start of February, basically, between that 79.4k to about 81.2k roughly, the CME gap in here, which I've been saying is a magnet of liquidity, potentially fill the 80k CME gap before heading to the 4-year cycle lows later this year. And we're edging ever so closer to filling that gap, which from around here would be about a 7% move to the upside. And again, it would make sense in this bear flag that we're currently in. For me, nothing's changed. The situation remains the same for me. And this is basically my stance at the minute. So the situation remains unchanged for me. I need to make this more visible for everyone to see. Right, okay, so the situation remains unchanged despite Bitcoin obviously from a way down here when it looked like we were going to fall off the bottom of this bear flag. Instead, it's just kind of been a deviation below, a fake out. Bitcoin has rallied 20%. Now, we're seeing some altcoins going incredible runs, which to me is just insider trading when the market caps of these altcoins go so low after a terrible spell for crypto and we're in a bear market, when loads of insiders, cabals, or basically whoever's running the altcoin owns such a large supply, you can see it pump 700% easily. And that's why we're seeing some altcoins pop off here and there, or relief rallies in the market. But because Bitcoin's done a 20% move, you're going to be seeing that. You've seen some meme coins on Solana. There's been a couple runners getting to 200 million, etc. Everyone's saying we're so back. But in reality, we're still in a downtrend. For me, situation remains the same. It's a bullish chop in a bear market. Yes, a bear market is what we're in. And for me, cautious and patience, the name of the game until further notice. For example, if we look at MicroStrategy, which obviously Michael Saylor buys Bitcoin, and we're seeing that it got up to about 543, which we're now down at 167, and we're seeing this cycle there just gone. It done a 48x, a stock done a 48x. The time before that, it also done incredible numbers, 17x, whatever. And this is basically, it's just a Bitcoin derivative stock basically. And again, I'm going to be looking to buy down at the lows. If we can keep getting lower, then great. Again, like Bitcoin here, like Bitcoin at this trend line, we see MicroStrategy the exact same. We had touched the trend line 3 times now. Try to break through, but I think we will roll over. But for me, this is just a relief rally within this bear market, this 1 year of bear market for Bitcoin that we usually see, a 42-week bear market. And if I zoom out here, for example, we can see the previous bear markets. You've seen from the 2013 high to the 2014 bear market, Bitcoin comes down in this kind of structure, a 42-week bear market, and we go down about 80%. We then get this rally, the 3 years of upside for Bitcoin, out of the 4-year lows, to the 2017 high, a year of bear market coming down, again roughly 80% down. Then from there we get 3 years of upside to the 2021 high, again correction, 1 year of bear market, 52-week bear market, again you get price capitulation and you get time capitulation, and then we get denial before capitulation, all that we're seeing, and then we see 3 years of upside to the 2025 high. And right now as we speak, we see this downtrend, that downtrend, it looks so similar. And if we go by the typical 4-year cycles, we're about just over 6 months through this bear market, which means we're nearly at the other side of it. And at this time, people are losing patience, people are giving up. We're seeing the sentiment in the market terrible. We're seeing loads of people try to call the bottom, which is why I think it's deniable for capitulation. This is so bearish to me, this bear flag. And as I keep saying, situation remains unchanged. That's kind of my message at the minute. Loads of people think the bottom's in because Bitcoin's rallied 20% from the lows that we've seen back at the end of March, which I showed you earlier in this video, as I said. But again, this looks so clear. It looks like a carbon copy of this. Again, if we take this move down here, we then bear flag, then we come down again, then we bear flag, and that could honestly take us down to about 50k, even though my target, as I've said, every bear market so far in crypto's history, the 3 previous Bitcoin bear markets, we get below the 0.786 fib, which would be about 40k, but anything under 50k, I'm looking to get in the market, and I'm keeping a keen eye on MicroStrategy to see how cheap I can get. If I can get, again, if I can get down a nice entry around this 0.886 fib at $73, I will be absolutely delighted with that. I'm looking to take a punt on that, but as I said, Bitcoin looks bearish. We see the 2022 versus 2026 fractal. You see how we come down, and then when we breach this trend line, after we get below the 0.786 fib, it's off time, it's 3 years of upside. Bitcoin done like 600% in a quantitative tightening cycle, and the Fed running off the balance sheet. Whereas this time round, we might be getting money printing, and the Fed are finished running off the balance sheet. So it should be a more bullish environment and better for risk on assets like Bitcoin. And again, you see this clear downtrend. We're not following the 2021 fractal price action, but you see the theory that would be a later this year we get a bottom, and then when we break this downtrend, good to go. But again, I'm targeting below the 0.786 fib. If we can get in there, brilliant. That is when I'm looking to go very much bullish into the market. And for me, as I previously mentioned, I'm just remaining patient really. I'm waiting for breakouts. So that was the 2022 versus 2026 fractal. Again, the 4-year cycle chart comparison, we've seen the 2018, 2022 bear market and 2026. And as I mentioned, 50% complete so far. I will update this right now. So as we've seen, just over a day short of a year, that bear market in 2018, a week or so over a year back in 2022, and so far we're nearly 200 days through this bear market. So roughly 52% complete. We've seen in that cycle 84% decrease in Bitcoin's price from around 18k down to 3k. Again, 2022, nearly an 80% decrease, a 76% decrease from 64k down to 15k. And right now we've seen Bitcoin go from 126k down to 60k, and we're rebounded up so far, but overall 52% down. So if we were to see a repeat of previous cycles, that would be 84, 76, so a wee bit more lower to go, as I previously mentioned. And then again, it's clear 1 year of downtrend on Bitcoin after the 3 years of upside. Again, CME gap, which would take Bitcoin to 81k. To be honest, it's looking more likely that we're going to fill the CME gap before going lower. Whereas I previously mentioned we might just roll over, but as it stands, it looks like as we're so close to the CME gap, a little bit more relief in the market. Fill that CME gap before nuking. And again, the bull market support band, I know everyone's saying the bottom's in, but unless Bitcoin can reclaim 86 and 98 and 96k, that is the bull market support band. We've seen it in the previous cycles when we lose it and we backtest and we go lower, and it's exactly what we're seeing. And it's for me waiting to see this trend line here break, which we're currently testing, but I think we'll go lower before breaking it, like we've seen in the previous 2 cycles. And as I mentioned previously, we had loads of the precious metals, silver, palladium, platinum in this falling wedge, and gold looking fairly bullish. And I'm confident, I'm not confident, I'm hopeful after getting a nice entry that we can get up to the previous all-time highs, even if that's the high before we start correcting. or we can get in the all-time high on silver. Again, I highlighted this fallen wedge, and again, remember when we got this tweet, I agreed to suspend the bombing and attack of Iran for a period of 2 weeks. This will be double-sided ceasefire. That is the exact moment that silver had broken out, back tested, and then it gave us a nice leg higher. And yeah, just this pattern's playing out. That's on silver that I managed to enter. And then had platinum and palladium. We'll see again the fallen wedge managed to break out. And again, you can see palladium here, platinum here, silver here. And if we look at gold, we'll see again we're managing to break out. Are we going to put in a higher low before making a new all-time high? That is what I'm watching. That's what I'm covering on this channel. And we'll take it from there. So as I previously mentioned, my stance on Bitcoin, obviously, I think we're nearly running out of this relief rally before the next leg lower. Getting everyone back in, hoping they're all bullish, whereas we're just filling the CME gap, in my opinion. We'll just wait and see if we can fill the CME gap over the next couple of weeks, and then I'm expecting us to roll lower as we're at this massive overhead resistance in the downtrend that we touched in October peak and back in January, and now again in April, and again this bear flag I highlighted. So again, bearish on Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor is going to come lower. Bullish on silver with my entry back here, and yeah, palladium, platinum bullish, gold bullish. I think we'll fill the CME gap fairly soon. But if we look at the total crypto market cap again, 4-year cycle low in 2018, 4-year cycle low in 2022. And again, it looks very, very bearish here after the 2017 top, 4 year later 2021 top, 4 year later 2025 top. And again, kind of like maybe not so much a bear flag, but more of a rising wedge here, which we're at the top of the range. And I think this is going to roll over soon. Again, into this massive resistance, October, January, and now again this trend line. So we go on the daily time frame here. We can see, oh, massive. To me, this looks fairly bearish. With that deviation above, deviation below. Another deviation above. Are we eventually going to roll over and come to the downside, like I am kind of expecting here? Something like that. And again, stablecoin dominance kind of remains in this bull flag. And I would expect us to take out these highs from the last bear market in 2022. As I said, when stablecoin dominance goes up, it's bad for crypto. It's risk off, bear market, and when we're down, risk on. Everyone's excited, making money, bull market, simple. So I think I've covered it all for this video. Bearish on Bitcoin.